welcome everybody. This is David Morgan, Arlington's Environmental Planner and Conservation Agent. The April 3rd, 2025 public meeting of the Arlington Conservation Commission will be conducted in a hybrid format consistent with an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, which further extends certain COVID-19 measures regarding remote participation in public meetings until June 30th, 2027. This meeting is being recorded and the recording may be made publicly available. I'm going to put a link in the meeting chat now that will direct you to all of the meeting materials. Please note that the Zoom chat feature may be used for questions and comments that contribute to the committee's procedures. If it's used otherwise, it may be disabled at the chair's discretion. Public comment period will follow each hearing. The Conservation Commission encourages attendees to ask questions, offer comments during the public comment period. Chuck Taroni is our commission chair. He'll facilitate tonight's meeting, and each vote taken during the meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. We start with agenda and attendance. Sure. To the chat.
We'll start with going over the agenda, and for Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, we have starting on review of the minutes. Tonight we have 6 sets of minutes. Aren't you lucky? And then correspondence. Our discussions include the Forest School, 65 Pipeline Lane, enforcement orders, 335 Mystic Street, update from the Water Bodies Working Group, CPA, Tree Committee, and possibly Sims Conservation Restriction. Our hearings tonight are for 15 Ryder Street, and we have another hearing for 995 Mass Ave, which looks like it may be continued. So with that, I will turn to the attendance. So commissioners, just call out when I say your name. So Mike Gildersteen.
Present.
Nathaniel Stevens.
Present.
Susan Chapnick.
Here.
David White.
I'm here.
I'm going to call David Kaplan, but David let us know that he's not here tonight. Brian McBride. And no Brian McBride, associate member Sarah Alfaro Franco, present. And Eileen Bowling. Okay, so Eileen's not here either. With that, we're going to turn to our first item on the agenda, which is our review of the minutes. And first minutes tonight, it's okay, we'll just go in order. June 6, 2024.
Right, sharing screen, June 6, 2024. This one goes back quite a bit. There were just a few edits by Daniel here. Pretty light touch. So note here about David White recusing himself at the Thorndike Place hearing, very important note. We'll just scan quickly through the rest. There's nothing really of substance otherwise to mention. You want to do them as a slate? Or you do them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next one will be September. Oh,
It's September 5, 2024. That's the one you have.
just a sec. I opened all but that one.
Do you want to vote on the June ones first?
Tonight we're going to vote all at once.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many. So many that it's slowing down my computer. Okay.
There you go.
We are, again, many of the same corrections, sort of clerical corrections here, by Nathaniel, clarification that we are having a notice of intent, as well as protection act, we'll find that place.
Bigger perhaps?
I see that Susan Chapman has her hand raised.
Thanks, Chuck. I just wanted to say that there was one slight correction, under the notice of intent for 49 Spy Pond Lane. It just, under the motions, so after, yeah. So just take out procedural again. Nathaniel caught most of these, there, and then on I, if you look up at I. There you go. And thank you, Jackie, for doing all these old minutes, and thank you, Nathaniel, for reviewing them so thoroughly. I appreciate it.
Truly, you had to get back into the vault.
Right, and a lot of these meetings I had missed, so I didn't have notes on them either.
That's it for September. Go then to
It's October 8th, 2024.
here are those. This one was a very brief meeting held in the middle of an afternoon in October with just a few commissioners, enough to make quorum, because we had continued the hearing from the Spy Pond Lane notice of intent pending certain materials. Those were submitted, and we wanted to get this decision made as soon as possible. So that's the only thing on this agenda, some clerical corrections that Nathaniel made. That is it. And our next one, I have November 7th.
No, I have November 11th, 2024.
So it's gonna be
Seventh,
the
correction.
Okay.
Yeah, 7th, November 7th, 2024. At least that's for 7.
And there's an open question here, as I suggested to issue a letter, or having, let's step back. This is the offsite mitigation conversation about the work happening in Lexington on Arlington-owned land. We were asked to weigh in on the quality of their proposal. Nathaniel's question here is noting that I suggested we review the proposal, we have issue a letter to the select board, a recommendation, and then that was to go back to Lexington Compound. So Nathaniel, I see your hands up.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just wondering, I remember it that we voted to have you do that. It was more than, I think we took up your suggestion, so I just want to have that reflect that was done, assuming that you did do that.
Yeah.
Ask you to do it, yes.
Yeah, well, I think we either voted to or concurred that you would do that. So it's coming back as just a suggestion that wasn't, it's vague as to whether the suggestion was acted upon. So maybe just tweak the wording to say, at David Morgan's suggestion, the commission directed him to issue a letter, send a letter to the board of selectmen. Something to that effect. That's all. Thanks.
I think we will take that language out. Does that read appropriately?
Yep, looks good. Thanks.
Right. And far down here, clerical corrections consistent with the others. Meeting adjourned prior to 9 that night. What's next, John?
March 6th.
Okay. March sixth,
Yeah, I think I did.
2025, to this year. I'm more slowly through this one because it was more recent. And my edits. Here by Nathaniel about when we would hear about the Sims conservation restriction. And this is the set of minutes where we had the Thorndike Place conversation. And I asked everybody to take a close look at this, make sure that your comments are well reflected in the minutes. I only received these edited sets of minutes from Susan and Nathaniel, so if anybody else has changes to make, I'm sure the record reflects what you said during that deliberation, please speak up. We are missing Ryan tonight. Those are his comments there. I don't know if anybody wants to take that into consideration with your motion or vote, but that is otherwise it for the sets of minutes that we have to approve tonight.
We had March 20th,
March 20th, let me say.
2025.
Sorry, Susan, were you gonna say March 20th? Yeah, okay. And you are correct, we do. All right, while I open this one. Thankfully, that was much faster than last time. Susan, I noticed you have your hand up already, so why don't you chime in while I get this thing going?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just for commissioners' information, that Jackie did the draft minutes and I already edited them, so I didn't do it in track changes mode. I edited before she posted them, just to help her out. So I just wanted to say that.
Thanks for doing that, Susan, and Jackie as well, especially for doing them.
I don't think there's anything outstanding. This is our last discussion of 15 Ryder Street. We'll hear again tonight. And that was it.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve June 6, 2024, September 5, 2024, October 8, 2024, November 7, 2024, March 6, 2025, and March 20, 2025?
Jackie and Susan have raised their hands.
Jackie?
I just wanted to ask if we incorporated Brian McBride's comment in the March 6th minutes. I don't know if we included it. I just wanted to check because he left one comment.
I thought it was included, but I'm open to suggestions.
Where was his comment?
Are you talking about his email comment?
Yeah, so he sent an email with his version and I didn't incorporate that into the draft, but I just want to make sure that we include it in the final minutes.
I thought the email that he sent today was about his evaluation of the supplemental materials that were received. Did I miss something, Jackie?
I'm trying to. So this was an email from March 21st.
Oh, okay, I didn't see
I
that.
just remembered that he had sent that, and there was just one comment on page 5 where he wanted to change his one and only comment on page 5 to read, "The contradictions were between the project critic's paid consultant and the other parties, i.e. the applicant and the peer reviewer. The inherent nature of the relationship of a critic's consultant to the project makes Brian more skeptical of those criticisms."
I think if he sent you edits, that's at his edits to the March 6th meeting, we should incorporate them. I didn't realize there were edits, so.
Jackie, what was the date of that email?
March 21st.
Okay, so, just amend that motion to include Brian McBride's March 21st, 2025 edits.
So moved.
A second,
Second,
Nathaniel Stevens and Mike Gildersleeve. So Susan Chapnick.
I have a question, I'm sorry. So you made a motion to just include those on that set of minutes. I thought we were going to make a motion to accept all the minutes.
We had done that, then we paused to talk about Brian McBride, so it was still on the table, and then Nathaniel included my motion, or what?
Your
my,
amendment, yeah.
So he just said so moved, as we've done so many times.
Oh, okay, I didn't follow, sorry. Mhm.
Yeah, so all the meeting minutes with Brian's edit that was just
Got it,
presented by Jackie is my
thank
motion.
you, thank you.
And I believe,
So Susan, what's your voting?
Yes.
And yes, great. David White,
Yes.
Brian McBride, Brian's not here, Mike Gildersleeve,
yes,
Nathaniel Stevens,
yes.
and Chuck Teroni says yes. All right, great, we got through those. So correspondence received at any time, and especially between the meetings, can be for a full list, contact the conservation agent at the link that, I don't know if you have it available tonight, provide. And you can pick those up on the website, or you can reach out to David, and David will make sure that you get any correspondence or help downloading any of our applications. So moving to discussions, for our first discussion, we have the Forest School update. And David, do we have someone here for the Forest School? Or is that something you're doing? I have Lori E here, is that?
Anybody here for the Forest School? I don't recognize anybody's name.
I just also want to make sure everyone knows that Eileen Coleman is here at the meeting. I don't know what time she arrived, I see her name.
Timestamp on her chat was 7:07.
Great.
So hearing none, I think we move on from the Forest School. Last chance to wave your hand or make a virtual motion.
Okay, we can pick that up if they show up right on the meeting. Next thing on the agenda is 65 Spotacon Parkway, Spotacon Lane Certificate of Compliance reissuance. And so this is from August 18th, 1994. And before we start the conversation, I just wanted to ask, as I did before the meeting started, I wanted to ask David why we're not doing a certificate on this, a certified copy certificate, just stating that this is a true copy from our file, and that will be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. And then the commission doesn't have to get into possibly a site block, reviewing the plans, understanding the order of conditions, and that kind of stuff. And I think I've sent it here before, but I could certainly send a mark copy from Reading to do that. We've used it quite a bit.
I'm happy to go that direction if that's what the commission prefers, so.
I'm sorry, I missed that. So we're being asked to reissue it?
A, let me get this, a 1994 certificate of compliance. I don't understand why we need to reissue it. I suspect it's not been recorded and they need a, wet stamp to get it recorded, so
Right.
the way typically, at least typically in my world, Reading and Boxford, is we do a copy certificate for this and have it notarized, and the registry accepts it.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, I would do that. Yep,
Okay,
I agree.
happy to move on then.
Thanks.
Okay, so, we have, people here for, sorry.
This is Louise.
We have Louise and Marie here from 335 Mystic Street, so which is the next item on our agenda, so it's the enforcement order that was brought up. So before we get started, I'd like David to update the commission on the activity, so we have an understanding of where we're at this point with this enforcement order.
Sounds good, so, Louise had emailed, I'm gonna get the date.
Yes. She's also prepared a statement that she would like to read to you.
Great, yeah. February 20th. So I guess that was just a little more than a month ago, and my computer's hung up, so I'll just add the statement included, description of the grounds, the work performed, removing the knotweed, etc. Let's see, it says, we're seeking restoration of the sumac grove. I think the contention here is that it was only knotweed that was removed, and there were pictures supplied, and I can show those if you like, of the area from around 2000, as well as one from 2024, October of that year, showing the way that it used to look. I think that is about it. The other, statement about any restoration plan and so forth was supplied previously, so.
Sure, so I'll just, I don't know if anyone else. So anyways,
Can you
it came
show
to
the
our
pictures?
attention- Yeah,
Can you
I'll just
just-
talk while you show the pictures. So this
Thanks.
came to our attention through an MLS listing. And what was noticed in the listing was a picture of the yard that went down to the Mystic, and it was cleared. So there was a site visit with Dave Morgan and Susan Chapnick, and they took notes and talked to the commission one time. And they noticed that sumac and thought the other plant was removed. Susan, what was that other plant? It was sumac and it was something else. Oh, knotweed. Japanese
It was
knotweed.
knotweed, and they
yes.
looked like there were some goldenrod and, other kinds of mixtures of things in there, but it was hard to tell because we went in the fall.
Okay, I'm gonna continue. And then, so that came to the commission and we talked about that amongst ourselves, then we sent out an enforcement order. And at that point, we wanted restoration for the whole area.
Yeah.
And that was sent out, and I think attempts were made to contact and finally,
You can address my.
yeah, and then
She's the one.
we, I think at the last time you were here, or you
I
were
was
with the
sick
commission?
the last meeting I called.
Yeah,
I hope we can resolve this tonight.
yeah, hold on, I just wanna set it up so people understand, so it's more people than watch than we, everyone here knows, but we wanna make sure everybody who's watching knows what's
This
going
is
on, and then it's gonna be your
This is
your
costing
turn.
her health. She's
Yeah.
very upset. And she has proof that she did nothing wrong.
So if
And
I
she has
can't
a
finish,
statement.
you're not gonna be able to stop, so why don't you hold
Oh,
on?
I
just
don't
one
want, I
second.
just wanna let you
Okay,
know
so just
that.
hold on 1 second. So anyways, we came to the meeting and we looked at the pictures and we asked for a certain amount of restoration. And then what I understand happened at that meeting was, you went back and we were thinking we were gonna get a plan, but David got an email. And I think what you said in the email was essentially these things grow back. And you want the commission to understand that. And with the removal of the sumac and the Japanese knotweed and the fact that we have an email and now you're here tonight. I think I loosely gave a summary of where we're at. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that you understand, something I wanted to talk about is that there was some dirt, and I'm gonna call it construction debris, which is
What is
concrete
it, what does it
blocks.
consist of, the extra?
We're gonna bring up a picture of that. And I wanted to make sure that you address that. So I understand that you want to make a statement tonight, so if you just introduce yourself and then make your statement and talk about anything else you want to at this point.
Well, I've reiterated all this before, but I'll just do it again. My name is Louise Piazza. I live solely at 335 West 6th Street. And, well, first of all, I'd like to cooperate with all of you because I respect your standings on what you try to do for the town. But I have some concerns myself. I'm very concerned and stressed about this whole issue because I did not cut anything down. I trimmed. And I feel that I've been treated unjustly with this whole situation. I'm 81 years old, lived in Arlington most of my life, about 50 years. And I have always been respectful in preserving my beautiful lakefront. Many years ago, I went to the Conservation Commission because I noticed the knotweed was a very invasive vegetation. And they were also aware of this growth. And I was told it could be trimmed, but not uprooted. So I did trim the knotweed, and then in fact, I trimmed it in June. By October, it was already regrown. So knotweed will regrow and flower as it always has been. Now, according to the law now, because when I came to the last meeting, you said I should have had consent. Well, I didn't know that, but I will cooperate with the committee that I shall refrain from any doings on the lakefront without getting consent from this conservation committee. As far as the construction debris that was found down there, I haven't even been down there because it's hard to get down there, and I'm not that well with walking lately. But David saw some construction debris. If there's construction debris down there, I will have somebody clean up the construction debris. I'm willing to remove any debris that's down there. Now, as far as replanting, something I did not cut is very unfair request for me to replant. I don't see that that should be done to me. And I'm being accused of something that I didn't do. This was a picture taken, I see there, and that was in November when David came out. But I had pictures taken, that's after things had died, and I have pictures, I think I sent it to David, of October. I had trimmed in June, and these are pictures of October, and you can see all the vegetation has grown back. I just feel I'm being accused of something I didn't do because I didn't uproot, I didn't cut it. And I think the Conservation Committee must prove that I cut something down before I'm gonna, or replant something. I need factual support on this issue.
So we can't put these on the screen, but I'm gonna let you know, so I have an October 2024, what it looks like is.
I think I sent those to David
Yeah,
also.
that's
Oh, there they are.
Is that this one?
I don't know if
This
that's
is
that one, there's two of
There's
them.
this robust growth of.
Yes, that was after I
these
trimmed.
knotweed. And this one is the same October.
Right.
2024, this looks like a fall picture.
It was
Yeah.
taken in October, and the trimming was done in June.
Both look like. I would say both look like, it's a robust growth of Japanese knotweed and some other plants in there.
Right. And this one was the photo, I guess that's right up there, that was taken in the year 2000, either 99 or 2000. And that was my property. You can see there's no trees that I cut, nothing. It's just growth similar to what will be growing this year again.
So this property, this one was up on the screen, and
Yes,
it just looks like there's a patio, and below the
that's my
patio.
patio, and I wrote the line there is the lot line of where my next door neighbor's
And
property
this is
is.
after it was trimmed? Or
That
is
was-
that lawn down there?
I don't know, that was taken in, I found that picture, it's from 2000,
Yeah,
either 99 or 2000, I forget the date.
okay, so it
Other
does look like
neighbors
it's
live there.
been either trimmed or it's maintained in some way.
Yeah, it was maintained, I think, for all
And at
these
the
years, 'cause I was
edge
allowed
of
to
the
do.
Mystic, there was a, a strip of, brush that wasn't maintained, so that edge was left alone. Yes, any, commissioners, and Susan, you have your hand up, why don't you, Susan, why don't you take over?
Hi, so when David and I went to do the site visit, I agree that Japanese knotweed will grow back. I'm not disagreeing with that. However, above the Japanese knotweed, closer to the, there's a structure down there, that's, empty. Closer to that structure where the grade of the ground kind of levels off was not just, it wasn't Japanese knotweed anymore. There was some Japanese knotweed there, but there was a large grove of sumac. Sumac is a native plant that does grow in Arlington. And we have pictures of that the sumac was also cut. Now, maybe the landscapers did that by mistake and they were only supposed to cut the knotweed on the slope. I don't know, but that's one thing we're concerned about, that and the construction debris. So I just wanted to make that clear.
What is this picture from, your property?
Is that my property?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's not my property, that's my next door neighbor's property.
we're on your property looking at the property
That
line.
doesn't look familiar.
That is not my property, his property has I would never have cut those trees.
No, the cleared area between the camera and the tree line is your property where it was cleared.
I don't understand, I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Yeah, you
you.
were talking, your voice was projecting there, she didn't understand what you were saying.
Where I'm taking the picture from, I'm on your property, looking at the neighbor's property,
Okay,
and the area that's cleared between where I was standing and the tree line
right.
is what
We're talking-
Susan was just describing, the sumac grove, yeah.
If I may, David, you have some pictures of the cut stems of the sumac as well, so you could see that they're, they were several inches. I think you have, I know I have those pictures, but I don't know if I can get them up. There you go. So that's not Japanese knotweed, and there isn't Japanese knotweed right there. That's on the kind of the flat portion of the
Okay.
of the lot, and that's a sumac stem.
Yeah, and I just wanna, just say on the record that there are pictures of those, stumps that are sprouting, saplings or suckers, whatever you want to call them. And just to have that on the record also,
How old is that stump?
I don't know,
I
but,
don't either, I never cut it down.
I think she's telling the truth.
I know.
You've been the sole owner of the property for how many
Well,
decades?
my father was, I bought the house in 98. I purchased the house from my mother and father.
Right.
They passed away.
From the look of it, that sumac can't be more than 5 years old when it was cut down, I would say, so.
5 years ago, that I cut that tree 5 years ago, no, that's not true.
any other questions from the commission? All right,
Sure, just a comment. I mean, I think we've been through this before. I'm not convinced, again, I guess there's a difference in understanding what the word trimming means, because the photos that we saw from the realtor listing last fall and plus the site visit photos show clear, I would define that as clear cutting, removing vegetation, not necessarily trees. They did leave some trees, but there's an extensive amount of vegetation clearing right down to the shoreline. And we've not allowed other people around Spy Pond to do that type of activity like that. Clearly, there was a misunderstanding previously with the homeowner and the commission and what the commission said could be done, because David can correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't usually allow people to cut that amount of vegetation so close to the shoreline, and especially on a steep slope. So I'm just not, I don't disagree with the characterization. This was just mere trimming and not vegetation removal without commission's approval. And I'm not sure we would have even approved it that way. So, you know, the homeowner says that she respects what we do and tries to be a good steward of the lake, but the actions that they've been taking do not reflect that. And I think to be more in line with that is to, at a minimum, not touch any area within 100 feet before filing something formally with the Conservation Commission in the future. And then it sounds like there was some sumac that was removed, and that should be, we should get some additional plantings for that. And if she would like to deal with the Japanese knotweed, then come up with a proposed invasive species management plan, as we require of all the other homeowners around Spy Pond, homeowners who've lived in Arlington for a few years and homeowners who have lived in Arlington as long as she has. Not that that's a deciding factor for us, but
Can I say something?
that's where I'm coming from. Sure.
Okay, the photos from the real estate, it looks like everything was cut to the ground. It looks like, because I saw the photos too. But they do input on their photos. When they have the drone over, they make the property look, they can add color to it. It looks like there's wood chips from my land to the lake. It looks like it's that low. And it was not like that. Now, I don't know if you want to get real estate to show you the real picture or what they made it look like, because they do touch up their photos. They told me if my lawn is not even green, they can make the photo look green, because it does look like everything was cut down to the bottom line if you look at the photo. Because I saw it and I was surprised to see that.
But backed up with the photos that were then at the site visit a month or two later, it certainly looked like everything was cut down near to the ground. But I think moving forward, we need to get a stronger commitment from you to not touch anything within 100 feet of the lake. Because we've been through this with you, I'm sorry to say, several times. I was on the commission when we took enforcement action against you 15, 20 years ago, and similar thing. There was some clearing there around the pool area. And I think that we had an enforcement concern maybe even more recently. So given that history, we need a stronger commitment from you this time. And we need some restoration done.
Can I just say, the pool area is not mine.
Well, the level that the pool, no, I'm sorry, then the pool house or the structure that's at the same level as the pool on your property. I guess there's what's been referred to over the years as a pool house, maybe, or something that's on the same level that the pool is on.
Okay.
Okay, that's what everyone's heard from me. I'd like to hear what the other commission members.
Yeah, so before anyone starts talking, and I'll call on you if you raise your hand. I just wanted to, for Louise, we have sumac, and I was wondering, David, can you give us a count from the site visit on sumac? We have knotweed that was trimmed, and then we have the construction debris. And you had asked if this can be closed off tonight. So we usually don't close off enforcement orders, but we do agree to a solution, and then we go back and see that you've done that, and then we close it out. So what I'm hearing, commission members are asking for some planting of native plants to replace the sumac. A
At her
commitment,
expense, at her expense?
yes, a commitment to not cut the knotweed anymore, and the removal of the construction debris, which, I just want to be clear, the construction debris to me is the dirt and the cement pieces. So that dirt needs to be taken out of there so it doesn't suffocate any of the material that's under it, so any of the vegetation that's under it. So I want that cleaned up. So those are the things that what I'm hearing right now, that the commission is probably going to ask for. I know a lot of them didn't talk, but I've been on the commission a long time, and this
Is
is
that
what I'm
what's supposed to
interpreting.
have it in ink?
We would
Okay, well,
update the enforcement
Yes,
order
and
with
what
those.
would it cost my cousin to do all that?
No, it's.
What is somehow, there's something wrong.
You can
here.
find plants for a lot of money, or you can find native plants for, less money in different nurseries. So we're not even talking about a plant, so it's hard to put a dollar amount on it. But you did say you had a landscaper, maybe they could suggest something that you could agree with. We do need a number.
Is this because there's erosion in that area? What is going on?
It's a replacement in kind of what was trimmed.
Of what was trimmed?
Yeah,
Don't you think it will grow back if it wasn't pulled up by the roots that possibly it's still there, but maybe in the spring it will grow? She just told you.
so the knotweed has grown already.
The knotweed is the invasive
It's
plant.
the green plants with the big
And
leaves
it's
and
okay
the purple like
if people that
stem.
have property get rid of it because it is invasive property?
You can just.
So the problem is you just can't go and do that. You have to get a permit to do
Now, what
it,
she
and that's
did
what we're
was that.
saying. And we're trying to be consistent throughout the town, because you guys just went and did that. And other people have come in and gone through this process and been to this commission more times than even the couple times that you've been
I was
here.
wondering how
We wanna be
that was
consistent,
noticed.
so
Who
this is-
noticed it? I mean, on her property.
So it's on the
You know,
MLS listing.
At the MLS listing.
So it's on the MLS listing, MLS. So when you put the house up for sale, it was noticed, it was brought to our attention. Okay?
Yeah.
So, so if we could agree on just a commitment not to trim anymore, trim the knotweed, to clean up the construction debris, and then we're gonna let the commission talk about what needs to be planted and how much, we're done. Okay?
This has been dragging on for a
But we
bit.
can be done with
Yeah.
those.
Well,
all right.
I think she would like to have it on paper, what it is that she has to do,
Mhm.
so she's, don't forget, this is one person handling all this on her own.
I
And
understand.
I've come as a support because I'm concerned about her health. This is taking its toll. She said she did nothing wrong. She wasn't, aware that she had to have a permit to do that. So, you can't criminalize a person who didn't know any better. And if nothing has been uprooted, then I imagine it's going to grow back. Right? And she didn't take the roots out of the trees, they just trimmed it down. We do that every year before the.
So our
frost.
responsibility is to the environment and to make sure that no alteration happens in an area that can ultimately alter the pond or the mystic.
What she got
So
like a
we're,
warning.
so we're concerned about, no, there's no warning, it's the.
She had warning several years ago when we've been taking it, when we took prior enforcement action. She knows we've had jurisdiction over her a portion of her property.
He's saying, there was another enforcement order, and so therefore, it was something you knew about. Because this has happened, this is the second time that we've
On
had you
on
here.
her property?
Yes.
That has happened?
Yes.
Why didn't they give her a notice then?
They
Well,
did. We did, and we're
yeah,
not,
so it's an enforcement order, yeah, so.
When was that? When was that? She,
Is it
Was that
2013 or 12,
what? 2013?
or 12, 2000?
Well, how could she go back then? I mean, who remembers that?
I have no idea. deal with
she's
it.
lived at the
Yes.
property for that a period of time, so I'm sorry, we're going backwards. We're asked, Chuck is laying
Right,
out
so-
clearly what to do. You've asked to try to resolve this evening. We're trying to move forward in that path, so revisiting it and
How many trees are cut?
things is not gonna
Doesn't
be
say.
helpful with the discussion.
This is really, I mean, I'm in, my eighties, and this is very different than if people were all around and I could understand what they're saying, but looking at, I didn't even see that gentleman's picture there, the voice came through, I don't know which one you're speaking.
Nathaniel
And it's hard to
Stevens on the
understand.
commission.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So they're highlighted
He's
in
the
green
one,
when they
right.
speak, yeah.
It's very difficult for
Right,
It's
us.
a new
so-
age. Yep, it's a new
Senior
age. We've all
citizens.
had to adapt. This is part of what we learned to do in COVID. So, yep.
So let me see if I can kind of conclude this. Susan, do you know how many sumac were cut? And do you have a thought on how many plants you want for replacement?
We don't know how many sumac. However, we did have in our site visit notes an area that we thought should be revegetated. And that area is about 2,000 square feet, give or take. It's above the knotweed, closer to the house where the slope is not steep.
And planting the sumac there would help prevent the spread of the knotweed, hopefully.
Exactly. Like sumac and maybe a few other things. And as David White put in the chat, I just saw sumac is very inexpensive. You buy little plants and they take off. And maybe put in some goldenrod or some few other ground cover in there to make sure that way the knotweed won't keep creeping up all the way to the house. And these are inexpensive plants. If you have a landscaper who already comes and helps you out, they could do that in the spring. The spring's a good time to do it. That's my suggestion.
David White has his hand up.
Yeah, sumac actually competes against knotweed pretty well. Actually can sort of push it aside.
Yeah, he said sumac competes against knotweed well, so that means sumac will win out. You'll have more sumac there
Okay.
than knotweed.
The thing is, I did not uproot anything.
How many
I
times did
trimmed.
she say this?
Whenever you trim, if you just take, I know knotweed is a flowering species. You cut that down, the next year it's back. It grows like wildfire.
You're not allowed to cut down. You're not allowed to cut down. You
I
just
didn't
used
cut
those
down.
words.
I'm
You
not
just said
going
you
on
cut down,
and trimmed.
you cut down to the
Yes.
ground.
She said she didn't.
I cut it to the ground, no, I did not cut it to the ground. In the photos you see from the real estate, it does appear that way. Because they wanted to appear that way when they showed.
The photos that we saw on the site, from the site visit, showed that they were cut down to the ground. We've been over this several times, so let's please move on.
Let's
Yeah,
move on for Nathaniel's request.
So we're gonna update the enforcement order, and we're gonna request by a certain date that you remove the construction debris. And it's gonna be described as dirt and concrete bits. And remove from the property, or at least outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. We're gonna ask you to commit to not cutting the knotweed, and then we're gonna ask you to replant, yeah. Sure, that wasn't that plant that we're talking about.
Backwards,
Yeah.
Sumac.
She never yanked up
And
on
we're
the
gonna
ground.
say 10 plants.
This is ridiculous.
Sounds
I
good.
think
Sounds
there's
good.
2,300 square feet.
Pretty big
of
area.
Land that was cleared. I think it should be commensurate with the clearing. I wanna make that recommendation that the commission consider like for like.
How many plants would that be? We need a number so these guys can understand it.
Sufficient. to cover
25
everything.
plants.
They grow pretty densely.
So the commission should take into consideration that those stumps will resprout, so this may be in addition to what's going to grow back. So
25 sounds good to me.
25, so we're gonna ask you to
spread.
plant 25 sumac plants,
Shumac.
sumac.
Is that a growing plant around the lake?
It's a known plant, it's actually it was in that picture, that was what was there, and that's what is
And
there.
if you trim,
Yes.
if you trim sumac, it does not grow back.
We want
I want
to
that to be
ensure that that
federal
area
support
is
on that.
planted, so we're asking for 25 more plants.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
You know, that's,
You know something? I'm
This is
concerned.
unfair.
I'm concerned that she's being wrongly accused of doing something she in her heart says she did not do or order people to do. I don't know why you're constantly saying she did.
Well,
And it's-
It would be because we have.
And you're
We're not-
really causing this
Commissioner,
poor
we're not
woman,
talking anymore.
you
So whoever has
know,
their hand up,
she's
go.
a senior citizen.
Okay,
And she's done her, she's, like she explained to you, that her parents lived there for 50 years. Then she keeps the place nice, she doesn't get rid of things. I don't know how that construction debris, because she didn't tear anything down up there. The gentleman on the left-hand side has done a lot of, he revamped the whole area, right? Maybe it came from his.
no, he didn't do anything.
Doc,
this should be taken care of pretty quickly. You have a
The
landscaper.
construction, can I just ask you something? On the
Sure.
construction debris, you mentioned a lot of dirt. You talking about on the hill?
We'll add a picture to the enforcement order. So I'm gonna close this out. I'm not gonna even listen to the commission. I'm sorry, commissioners, but this just keeps running in circles. We're gonna take a vote and we're going to ask you to remove the construction debris as I described. And make a statement. So we want you to send us something that says you will refrain from cutting the Japanese knotweed and that you'll plant 25 sumac trees. They're small, and you just, you should.
Where do you buy that sugar?
How do I do that?
I think you need to.
She-
Consult with your landscaper. You have a
Your
landscaper.
So with that,
I can't afford to pay my landscaper to do that, because they don't just plant trees just like that on the hill. I don't have the means to
this
do
is
that
at
at
the
this
top of
point
the
in my
hill.
life.
This is at the top of the hill. You need to look into it first before you say I can't. Okay?
Well, I can't do it.
So we're gonna move on, that is going to be sent to you, it does have the force of the commission, so if you want to, if you have any challenges to it or something like that, I would talk to David Morgan on Monday or Tuesday.
About what?
Talk to David Morgan at the office on Monday or Tuesday. So, we're gonna take a vote right now, does anyone wanna repeat what I said? And, so to update the enforcement order, Daniel?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to amend the enforcement order to remove the debris by July 1st. Plant 25 sumac in the area that we will identify and on the property by July 1st, and further do no trimming or cutting or pruning within 100 feet of the lake.
And move the construction debris down to, that mound of construction debris, which is the material and the cement and David Morgan.
So knowing that the property has been up for sale recently, I wonder if signage for the next owner might be in order.
No.
No, we're not gonna get into that.
Let's
No,
get this
no,
going,
okay.
yeah,
Yep.
let's go, yeah. I mean, it's a good idea, but I thought of like getting a statement that the other new owner, I don't think knows about it, but we just go on from here. So I have a motion, can I have a second?
I'll second it.
David White, seconds. Mike Gildersleeve,
yes.
Wait,
Susan Chapnick.
excuse me? When we do a vote, we have a nomination for the vote and a second, and then a discussion. And I know you don't want to belabor this, but Mike Gildersleeve has really been trying to contribute, and he hadn't had a chance to say.
Oh, thanks. Right.
Oh, sorry, we didn't see you, Mike.
That's all right. I think Nathaniel summarized what I was going to say, which was the 3 points that Chuck also has said. So I don't need any.
Okay, just trying to make sure.
It isn't.
Okay, then yes,
Susan Chapnick,
yes.
David White,
Yes.
Mike Gildersleeve,
Yes.
Nathaniel Stevens,
Yes.
and Chuck Trump says yes. That
And
will
if
send mail next week. And if you have any questions, reach out to David. I know that you've talked and he would be able to address those questions best. Thank you.
You don't have the time tonight, David?
No, I'll be here for the rest of the evening.
So,
Okay.
what do we have to do? We're coming to see you, Monday, or Tuesday, in your office, or what? Do you wanna make one right now? Louise, did you wanna? I'll come with you. You have to make an appointment to see David.
Yeah.
Discuss these. Yes.
You wanna call next week?
I-
You'll call next week.
I'll call you next.
All right, very good.
Okay, moving right along, we have an update from David White on the water bodies working group.
No new news.
Okay, and our next item on the agenda is from Brian McBride, and he's not here tonight, so we're gonna go right to tree committee liaison update from Sarah Alfaro Franco.
Yes, so we're all set,
You're all set. We'll send out paperwork and we're gonna talk to David next week.
you want her to talk to David, make an appointment to see him?
Yeah.
And it's, the way we see it as we leave here tonight, it's not gonna change, she has to get rid of the construction stuff.
Yeah.
Which she hasn't been down there, because I told you she broke bones in both of her feet.
Yeah.
During Christmas of last
We're
year.
not expecting her to do it. We're being,
Okay, oh, I know, she'll
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
get
so-
someone to do it,
so,
yeah,
but David can talk the logistics over with you
yeah,
next week.
okay.
Thank you. Sarah.
The tree committee met on March 12th, and the good news, as David did say, mentioned earlier, was the $125,000 was released. So that's good. No big items to report other than, the tree committee does have goals to expand the tree canopy in every precinct. And that's about it. The next meeting will be next Wednesday. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, that concludes the discussion portion of our meeting. And so now we're turning to our first hearing, and that is notice of intent for 15 Ryder Street. The resource areas are the riverfront buffer zone and adjacent upland resource area. The applicant proposes a beer garden at 15 Ryder Street to include an outdoor patio. I'm not gonna say if there's a typo in there, but I didn't read it. So with that, I see Thomas Allen's here, and anyone else on this?
Our civil engineer, hi, everybody, Tom Allen here, Arlington Company.
Yeah, so
Also,
could you just all introduce yourself for the record and take over? I know that we got some materials this week, and if you wants to bring the commission up to date on that, would be great.
yeah, sounds great. So my name is Tom Allen. I'm with Arlington Brewing Company. I'm the applicant. I'm gonna let my civil engineer, Sam Malafronte, do the bulk of the talking, but I just want to say thanks for having us back, and we're looking forward to having this discussion.
So for the record, Sam Alfronti, civil engineer, with Solely Engineering offices at 11 Vanderbilt Ave in Norwood, Mass. If I could share my screen, I have a short presentation just so everyone can be on the same page. Let me know when you all can see the presentation.
We can see it.
Okay, so for the record, Mass DP file number 091-0368. And I went through the existing conditions last meeting. I can certainly go back over some of this in the site location, but I do want to jump kind of quickly to the changes that have occurred since we resubmitted the revised material. So largely the plan is the exact same. We did add a couple features that were discussed at the last meeting. Firstly, I want to discuss the changes to the landscaping, and it was brought up regarding the trees. So the species of trees, we have changed it to, so along the frontage of Ryder Street, there are 5 pink flare cherry trees, Prunus sargenti, And then in the rear at the beer garden, there are 3 red maple trees, which is Acer rubrum. And I have pictures up in the top right of those trees. And then, as I stated last meeting, we are maintaining the existing conifer tree, which is located to the south of the existing building. The other main kind of addition to the plan or revision was we added, so I took a look and looked into the roof leaders for the existing building as well as the proposed addition. And we are proposing we're gonna collect the entire building and convey it into a 4-inch perforated pipe system, which will be located beneath the gravel beer garden. So that will allow stormwater runoff to, in storm events, attenuate in the gravel beer garden, which is a 6-inch thick gravel space, and infiltrate into the ground. And this beer garden will provide sufficient recharge volume for the roof. And we did size that. I do have a couple details and additional information on this, because I know this was a point of discussion at the last meeting. Each downspout will be equipped with an overflow T, so in the event that high storm events and that recharge volume really gets inundated with stormwater runoff, stormwater will be allowed to backflow into the pipe and discharge over land as it does in existing conditions. This is a cross section of the gravel beer garden, so it's 6-inch thick of gravel. We have a 1-inch sand layer, and then the perforated pipes will actually be beneath the gravel layer. So it's a 4-inch fully perforated pipe surrounded by a gravel as well. And this will all be encompassed by a geotextile fabric to prevent weeds or anything like that growing through it. And then I did want to bring up as well the permeable paver detail that is proposed. There is a 970 square foot pervious paver area located to the south of the south of the facility, I should say. We did submit a full stormwater report, HydroCAD calculations, utilizing NOAA 14++. We have a reduction in all storm events, 2, 10, 25, 50, and 100 year. For peak flow, the recharge volume for the gravel beer garden and perforated pipe system, it is sufficient volume for the half-inch water quality volume of the drainage area. And we did submit an operation and maintenance plan for the facility. The gravel beer garden perforated pipe system was included. The pervious pavers were included. Parking lot and pavement maintenance were included. Snow removal and the minimization of the use of pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers was also incorporated into that, amongst other things, but I did want to highlight those. Debris and trash removal were also included. Those are kind of standard operating procedures for Tom's facility, which customers will be visiting daily, as well as to maintain the operation and functionality of these systems. I can certainly, and that's kind of the majority of the changes in the revised material. I can certainly go into more detail or provide explanation on anything that the commission might have. But that's the summary of the changes, so I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, so let's turn to the commission. If anyone would like to ask some questions, please raise your hand. So right now I'm seeing none, so I'm going to just read what David Kaplan wrote. So he can't be here tonight, so he reviewed the updated submission at 15 Ryder Street, and he's happy with the additional proposal recharge and O&M measures to better reach the 80% TSS goals, vacuuming, regenerative, air sweeping, being more efficient, but I couldn't find the type that they were proposing. So was this, I think we're looking for a type of air sweeper that you were going to use?
I don't believe air sweeping was something that we would be proposing for the street maintenance. I think it's just going to be a sweeper, a standard street sweeper or manual sweeping as well. It's for the parking areas and the out front. And I will note that I couldn't quite hear the beginning of that, but street sweeping doesn't achieve 80% TSS removal. I think the maximum is 10% with sweeping. I just want to make that clear. That's standard, I believe it's 4. We are meeting to the maximum extent practicable. Obviously the disturbed area is largely the roof and the beer garden, which TSS removal is really not associated with that. Roof water runoff is considered clean runoff. So within the scope of the project, this is kind of the maximum TSS removal we can achieve with this.
So your proposal is just sweep those off, sweep off the parking lot and the pavers. And when needed, I suspect in the fall, you'll be using leaf blowers to do that also. So it's just the granular in between the pavers that we want to make sure are clean and it works effectively. So I think that's what David Kaplan's asking about is, how are you gonna better reach that 80% TSS removal? So it might be something you could add to it might be something you're doing anyways that you could add to the O&M plan just to kind of comply with Commissioner Kaplan's request. I'm gonna turn to Nathaniel Stevens now.
Thanks. Before I comment, Chuck, I didn't quite hear David Kaplan's question. Was he asking what type of vacuum sweeper was going to be used, or what type of sweeper was going to be used? Because I'll say the O&M plan specifies that it says perform vacuum sweeping at least twice per year, spring and fall, using a regenerative air or vacuum sweeper to remove the sediment and debris. More frequent sweeping quarterly may be necessary in areas with high traffic or significant leaf litter. So does his question relate to that, or did I couldn't hear all of it either?
He just says vacuum or regenerative air sweeper, but I couldn't find which type they were proposing.
I think those are the 2 types.
Yeah, or is he looking for a brand? Because we've never specified a brand maker or manufacturer to use. So yeah, okay, I'm confused by that. But okay, anyways, I was just going to say thank you for providing this information. This is exactly the type of information I was looking for at the last meeting. And those improvements to the stormwater look good. I guess I'm a little skeptical that amount of pipe below the gravel in the storm and the beer garden area will accommodate all the area of the roof runoff, but it seems like your calculations support it. But just sort of intuitively, just looking at it from a non-engineer perspective, I'm a little bit skeptical about that. But if you're confident with it, then that's fine. So yeah, I have no further questions. I think this looks much better and has all the material we usually seek.
I can move it here. Sorry. Okay,
thanks. That's all.
The next member, does anyone else have, okay, so I see 2, yeah, so, this is Town of Arlington, is that you? Okay. All right, so I'll turn this, Commissioner Chapman right here. Susan?
Did you recognize me? Oh, okay, thank you.
I did, it was the other one that said Town of Arlington, I'm like, who's that?
Okay. I want to echo what Nathaniel said. Sam, I really appreciate you going to the trouble of doing all the calculations. We really do try in this commission to apply our standards uniformly, no matter what the site. And I'm pleased to see that you use the NOAA 14++ rainfall data, which is what we require in town. And it looks to me like you've improved the project going through this exercise by adding the infiltration and the pipes underneath. I do agree with Nathaniel that sometimes you've said it yourself in the stormwater report, that if you get a really severe storm, you're going to have overflow and surface flow. That's what's there now. So you've at least improved it on most of the storms that we're going to see. And that's what we asked for in Riverfront, is for an improvement. And adding the vegetation, especially changing to the Acer rubrum, which is a native non-cultivar. That's the red maple. I have one in my yard. They're beautiful in the fall. So that's also an improvement. I do have some recommendations on the O&M, the operation and maintenance plan, that I'd like to just put out there and see if other commissioners agree with me, and or if this is something that you could accommodate. The O&M plan says that herbicides and rodenticides might be used. We don't allow that at all in resource areas. So I'm just going to put that out there. We'll put a condition in if we close this out and approve the permit, that you can't use those. If you absolutely have to use something, you'd have to come back to the commission and get a permit to do that. So any of your weeding, etc., would have to be done manually. So I would encourage you to keep up with it, because of course weeds are easier to pull manually if you don't let them go too long. In terms of maintenance for trash and debris, and you had that, you called that surface maintenance, and you had that for the gravel as well as the pavers, which I appreciate. I would suggest maybe increasing that frequency. I think you had monthly. We've got some communication from neighbors that they're concerned about trash getting off-site into Millbrook and into their areas. Of course, I'm more concerned about it getting into Millbrook. So I would like to see you do that weekly. I think that wouldn't be a big problem. I would think if you have a beer garden, you'd want to keep it, clean and nice anyway, especially if you got kids running around. You don't want cigarette butts in there and things like that. So I would like to see a weekly requirement there. The salt for de-icing, we have a standard condition for what you're allowed to use and what you can't use for de-icing. So that will be very clear. And we'll put that in conditions again if this gets approved. I didn't quite know where the snow was going to be removed to. So I know you have a small parking lot area. I would make a suggestion that when you do your snow removal, it goes as far away from the river as you can. I see Tom wants to make a comment about that.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. With respect to the snow removal, the landlord is going to be handling the snow removal for us. And the idea is that they will be pushed onto kind of the balance of their property.
Which is over where the parking lot is, or?
It's where the storage containers are right now, if you remember. So it's like through the gate of our parking area. So it's kind of as far away as it can be from the Millbrook on the property.
Right. So again, that would be something, if we approve the permit, that we would put as a condition, because, they've agreed to it already, but it has to be written down somewhere that this is what you need to do, not you personally, but for the project. And then I think those were all my comments. Yeah. So thank you.
I'm supportive of those. Susan, thank you.
Great. So I don't see any other commissioners with hand up, so I'm going to turn to David Morgan.
Thanks, Chuck. Wondering about the permeability of the geotextile. It's indicated on the plans here as typical. I wonder if you can speak to that. I notice it's both under the stone in the beer garden and the permeable paver details.
Yeah, so it will be a non-woven fabric. Are you looking for a specific, I guess, is there a lead-on question to this? Or are you looking for a specification on this? I typically we leave for a detail, we leave it up to the contractor and we approve the material as they submit it for an approval. But we can certainly specify a specific geotextile fabric if you'd like.
I don't know enough about geotextiles to say, but poking around at the internet, it seemed like some are more permeable than others, of course, and we need to be sure that the amount of recharge that you're detailing in your stormwater report will be accomplished if there is, you know, a base layer like that that would limit the recharge. So I want to make sure that it's not going to impede water getting into the ground. And, you know, I don't just mention it out of concern for like making sure that the stormwater report checks out. I think quite frankly, if you get a bunch of water in a gravel beer garden that's not going to be able to infiltrate, you're going to have a very squishy beer garden, and that would be a very poor experience. So,
David, I'm geotextile fabrics are permeable generally. Like I'm not quite sure what the intent. I mean, I think the commission would prefer that as opposed to not having it. That's a typical standard for pervious pavers as well as infiltration trenches. I believe it's in the stormwater handbook as well under those details. So we can certainly condition a more permeable specification, and I can provide that to you during construction for your review and approval of it if you'd like.
yeah, I think for the sake of closing the loop, that would be helpful. I'll leave it to the commission. I don't vote.
Okay, I see that Susan Chapnick has her hand up again.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, just say that maybe commissioners or David, you might have not have noticed, but geotextile fabric is commonly used. And it's been used in some of our other permits, for example, the Arlington High School artificial turf field and the stormwater system under there had a geotextile fabric. So it's often used in these kinds of situations. But I do agree that you want to make sure that it's as permeable as possible, but it's considered a permeable component.
Yeah, I mean, I was largely interested in the infiltration rates, because, you know, if we are typically permitting this to be used under permeable pavers, for example, if the permeable paver has a higher infiltration rate than the geotextile does, then you'll get some mounding basically, and that could complicate things, could just, you know, have a different outcome in the stormwater report, like how much you're actually infiltrating.
Yeah, David, to actually to elaborate on this a little bit more, the permeable pavers, I didn't even evaluate them as an infiltration system in HydroCAD because it's quite complicated to actually implement them as a storm system. As a recharge volume in HydroCAD. So, and I knew the peak flows were going to be less, so it actually doesn't even account for that. So our peak flows are actually likely reduced to what has been presented. So that concern of it potentially modifying the outcome of the peak flows is really not a concern. But I do hear you, and I appreciate Susan chiming in on the applicability of these on most projects for stormwater purposes.
All right, appreciate it, thanks.
All right. Seeing no other commissioners, is anyone here attending tonight's meeting that would like to speak about this beer garden at 15 Ryder Street? Please raise your hands, use the reaction button at the bottom of the screen, raise hand function, and we'll let you speak. Right now, I'm seeing no one with their hand raised. Give it a couple more minutes or a few moments. Looking again, seeing none, turning back to the commission. And I'm just going to say, Tom, and Sam, I appreciate, you know, coming back the second night and fulfilling what the commission requested. As you can see, it's kind of a different meeting, and I do appreciate you taking our feedback constructively and coming forward with this revised project. So I do appreciate that, and I hope you have a lot of good luck in this new spot, and it works out the way you had hoped. So with that, I'm going to turn back to the commission and ask for more comments or emotions.
Sorry, there's a comment in the chat. Would that person like to speak? Because we don't really take into account the comments in the chat necessarily as part of the public meeting. So if they'd like to speak.
Yeah, please raise your hand.
I didn't catch the name.
Do you want to read that, chat? Anyways.
Chuck,
I can
you
read
could
it.
choose to read the chat if you.
Okay, there we go. Oh, can't speak. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, they're saying, Rue Montanero, I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, at 99 Montague Street, comments that they want to reiterate the project will do wonders for the community. They're looking forward to it. And so thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Second.
Mike Gildersleeve seconds. Susan Chapnick.
Yes.
David White.
Yes.
Mike Gildersleeve.
Yes.
Nathaniel Stevens.
Yes.
And Chuck Teroni says yes. All right, gentlemen. Time for a beer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you very
well,
much. Appreciate it.
Hold on, sorry, we need to vote on we've closed the hearing, but we haven't voted
Have the conditions.
whether to
in
issue the
there.
permit, so I'm too
Conditions.
excited.
Hold off.
Hold on, yeah, don't open those cans of beer
Can I
yet,
get a
or
motion
whatever the
to,
appropriate metaphor is.
Can we talk about conditions for a minute and then
Sure.
move on to the vote to issue? So I have the O&M plan will restrict herbicides and rodenticides. Any comments on that? Speaking about weeding and weeding around pavers is extremely difficult. But any comments on Susan's motion or Susan's comment to have no herbicides or rodenticides? I agree with the rodenticides.
Right, the herbicides, I think they should come back to us. I think that's what Susan said. Susan can speak for herself, but I think we say they're banned unless you get an approval from the
Right,
commission
and
to
if you
use them.
find you can't keep up with the weeding
Yeah,
and it's just impossible and you need to do spot herbicides or something very locally, then just come back, and it's a smaller process. It's what's called an RDA, right? Isn't that true?
Well, if it's even small
Or-
enough, it could be an administrative.
Oh,
David
could it
can
be
approve
administrative
Yeah.
by David?
Yeah,
Right,
we don't
but
need
you
a
have to
public
come
hearing.
back and tell us what exactly you're doing, obviously, because we care about the chemicals.
So we'd like to see the condition at least say something to that effect. If herbicides are needed, come back to the commission for an approval. So
Yeah.
that would be a modification of that. So trash and debris, instead of monthly, it would be turned to weekly. We have a standard salt and de-icing condition, which will go in there, snow storage. I didn't know how to phrase this, beyond the fence, on the property owner's property.
I was gonna say, hey Chuck, sorry, I'm choking. Could we have them revise the plan, excuse me, revise the plan to show where that area is that they described?
Okay, so
Yeah,
instead
before
of what
construction.
I was trying to get to, just update the plan to show the snow storage areas. Any other
Yeah.
conditions? I
Uh,
see,
Tom has his
Susan,
hand
was there
up.
another one?
yeah, I see Tom has his hand up. Tom?
Hi, just for clarification, to address your comment, Susan, about the trash and debris, that was specifically with respect to clogging of any of the piping or the grout joints. But yeah, like you said, we're going to be operating a restaurant and beer garden, so we're going to be cleaning up trash on a daily basis.
Great, thank you.
With those conditions, I'll make a motion to approve the project.
So moved.
Nice.
Under the bylaw
Okay,
and
Mike.
under the bylaw and the act, yep, under the both, sorry.
Mike Gildersleeve seconded, and so we have Susan Chapnick,
Yes,
David White,
Yes.
Mike Gildersleeve,
Yes.
Nathaniel Stevens,
Yes,
and Chuck Teroni says yes. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Can I say thank you now?
Yes.
Now you can. Yeah,
Thank
now you
you.
can now you can open your beer cans or beer,
All right.
pop your bottles, whatever you.
Cheers. We'll
I'm not
just
gonna
say
say open your
cheers.
champagne.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope that- we hope to see you all there.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, our second hearing tonight has to do with, notice of intent for 995 Massachusetts Avenue. My understanding is this, at the applicant's request, will we continue this to May 1st, 2025? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Can I get a second? Daniel Stevens, second. Susan Chapman,
Yes.
David White,
Yes,
Mike Gildersgang,
Yep.
Nathaniel Stevens,
yes.
and Chuck Teroni says yes. That concludes our agenda, but I just wanted to find out if anyone attending tonight's meeting has anything to say to the commission. Just raise your hand, use the raise hand function.
I do. I was just gonna remind you guys, I will not be at the next meeting
Okay,
on the 17th.
All right, thank you.
any other
Okay.
commission comments? Any comments from attendees? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
it's
So
adjourned.
moved.
So moved.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone on camera, raise your hand or say aye all at once.
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you
Bye.
Yeah.
and good
Bye.
night.